Welcome to another fine edition of It's a Sports Show. We're up to number 97 already.
Wow.
Dave Betancourt,
97.
Dolphin Paul, I'm Scott Cray. Show 97. We're 3 away.
I just want to announce that I'm going to have a nickname like Dolphin Paul.
Okay.
To start this football season.
What is it?
I haven't,
You're not gonna announce it yet.
decided which
Hasn't
team.
decided- Maybe on the 100 show you could.
Yes.
Bring that up.
I like that idea.
But I
I'm
have a good
thinking something
nickname.
along the lines of Bear Dave.
I have
Bear
a good
Bryant.
a nickname for him. I don't know if you know. If,
The traditional.
it's on
It's
Tuesday.
going to be something.
It's on Tuesday, and today's sports. I come back from vacation. I'm a little rusty.
Yeah, that's all right.
The
Spit it out.
Providence Journal, the sports, the front page. We have Jay Rainville, and if you put that, I don't know if we can get it closer.
Yeah, I don't look at anything like
We have a
Jay Rainville.
special guest today.
Same hat
Yeah,
anyway.
the hat is perfect. And when I saw that, I said, that's him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
That's
my
As a
what you-
Twins fan, I'm
that's what
very
you-
excited.
That's what you look like on paper for the most part.
That's what you would look like.
As always, we got a lot to talk about today, but we're going to start things off with the Red Sox. The biggest move as of late, and keep in mind, folks, we're shooting this on Tuesday. Curt Schilling on Thursday. When people are watching this show, they'll also be flipping to the Red Sox station and watching Curt Schilling back in the rotation.
Sick of it.
What do you think? I mean,
I hope they won't be flipping for too long. Watch the whole show at least, and then go to the Red Sox.
I
but-
don't know.
they both start at
I don't
7,
know about
so-
this Schilling experiment.
Well, what, you haven't been on the show for a few weeks. What has been your opinion on this entire Schilling thing up until this point? Do you like him in the bullpen?
Well, no, I didn't like him going to the bullpen. Didn't make any sense because they talk about stretching him out to become a starting pitcher, yet he was only pitching one inning a game.
Right.
And they don't want Timlin to be the closer. They move Schilling in to be a starter, and Timlin becomes the new closer.
Right.
So I don't really understand what all that was all about. And Schilling's remarks about how he just was doing what the team wanted him to do, and
in other words, I don't want to be in the bullpen.
yeah, it was just like this drama that didn't need to unfold.
I mean,
And
we discussed a couple of weeks ago that it seems like we don't, well, I had said we don't know what Schilling's going to give us as a starter. Does anyone have a clue of
No,
how this
I
guy's going
think
to
it's a-
perform?
it's
We've
a-
only seen him sporadically.
he was terrible as a closer, I thought, anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
He was pretty
Didn't
bad as
pitch
a
very
closer.
well.
He gave up a lot of runs, but
A lot of home
fortunately,
You
runs.
saw his save
fortunately they had
numbers.
some good leads. But I mean, I think he belongs as a starter. They need to get him back in as a starter. I could
But
see
don't
their,
you-
I could see their point of putting him in as a closer because there was nobody else. To be honest with you, I'm not comfortable
What
with
about,
Timlin as a closer.
But
What
Timlin,
about-
I think, could have done as good of a job as Schilling did. And then I think if you want Schilling to come back in the role that we need him as, not we, but the Red Sox need him as, I think you send him to Pawtucket and you make him stretch out there.
Good point.
Why,
That's a real good point.
why put him as a closer when you've got someone that you can have as your closer in the interim while Folk gets back? And then, even that is what are we going to get
Well,
from Folk when he comes
Let's
back?
not forget when Schilling became the closer, they were struggling pretty bad in the middle relief to close the situation.
Yeah.
Including Timlin.
Right.
So maybe it was a logical
Maybe it
choice
was.
to get him there.
Aren't you
and
the
just get
Timlin
him
lover,
some-
if I remember?
I like
Timlin's your
Timlin, too.
man, right?
Well, I liked Timlin.
Who
He
was
used to
it that
sell
you-
Alan Embry, our old
Oh,
friend. That,
you don't
that
have to
was
worry
my
about that
choice. Alan
anymore.
Embry.
Now he's a Yankee.
Alan Embry
And not doing very well as a Yankee either.
We started this season talking about Alan Embry and Foghorn. They're
Right.
both pretty much gone, so
Foghorn.
we can move on with that. But I mean, the big question with the Red Sox now, the new kid on the block that everybody loves now is, of course, Papelbon.
Right.
Who's
And we've been here before. We've
well,
had
he's-
guys in the past that we fall in love with
Well,
towards
I think
the
this
latter
is the,
part of the
this is
season.
the first time in a while, though, that we've seen a homegrown prospect come up and really, show us that
Yeah.
he's the future. I mean, you think about pitching, everyone that we've had in the last few years have been all, imports.
That's true,
We
that's a
watched
good
Pedro,
point.
we watched, Schilling, we watched Wakefield, even he came
Wakefield's
from
been
somewhere
around.
else.
Although
too.
Schilling's homegrown
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
about a month until we got rid of him.
Well, Schilling's probably homegrown. I mean, that's what helped his,
That's a possibility. Gotta
But I think it's exciting to have this. We want the Red Sox win the World Series, and they're going for another World Series win. They're in a position to be one of the better teams in the American League, make the playoffs, possibly win the East, and they've got these kids that are looking pretty good. Del Carmen out of the bullpen,
Yeah.
Papelbon, the other kid there in the minors closing games, Hansen. I mean, that to me is pretty exciting. Like to have Henley Ramirez.
Right, and we've actually seen around the league, we've seen towards this latter part of the season, especially teams that are out of contention, calling up young talent,
Right.
and young talent having great success in Major League Baseball right now. You have to think that a lot of that is due to the fact that A, they're good, and
Right.
B, teams and players have not seen
Well,
them
the question
yet.
is-
So you almost think the Red Sox bringing in some fresh hands might be an advantage going into the playoffs.
The question is, what do you do with Papelbon? I think there's a little
Right.
bit of a theory. Should he be a closer? Should he be a starter?
Right.
I've heard on sports radio that you might ruin him if you put him in as a closer than a starter. I don't buy that one bit. It's
No, I think
freaking
the kid just
baseball.
wants to
Baseball
pitch.
players aren't wimps.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with putting a guy in as a closer for a while, and then maybe
Yes.
next year when the rotation settles out, maybe
And
trying him as a
he
starter.
has really great stuff too.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you
he's
could
a,
kind
he's a
of
quality
almost put him in
pitcher.
anywhere.
Yeah, you really can.
I mean, if you
I mean,
It
if
all
he
goes
doesn't
by
fit,
what he can handle as pressure. Because
Hey,
if
why
he
not?
can't handle the pressure as much, you don't want him as a
he
closer.
doesn't have a win, but he's got a 2.25 ERA. That's
why not?
pretty impressive.
Why not down the stretch go with 6 starters and give more rest to Schilling?
Yep.
You know, I mean, Schilling, we don't know what his ankle is going to be like.
Well, I think the big wild card too is Folk. Is he going to come
Right.
back into shape at all?
and be effective.
You're right. I mean, if he comes in and becomes a pretty effective closer, now I might put Papelbon.
I mean, his knee got scoped. He didn't have major replacement surgery here. A scope these days is no big deal
Well,
for
the
these
but he was
guys.
pretty bad before he
That-
left.
That
right.
is the
That's
question.
the problem. It's
Unrelated
like-
to
it's
the
like-
injury.
it's
I mean,
like-
you lose 3 to 4 miles an hour for miles per hour on a fastball, but for a guy who's already pitching like in the mid 80s, I mean, when your fastball starts to look like your changeup,
That's
then you
bad.
don't want that.
Right.
You know, you need that little difference between the fastball and the changeup.
Yeah.
What was happening was he was landing and not getting the push off. And his fastball was just, he was leaving it high, and it was.
Yep.
It
Am
was
I remembering
4 or 5
correctly
miles
that
an
I
hour.
when-
know.
when
We know where he's been the past 4 weeks. He's been
hanging out
in
with
the
the
video
boys.
room. In the video room,
So
Here
studying.
we are bashing him for being all over the country and elsewhere.
And we thought he was at some Star Trek convention
all
out
along, he's
west.
doing it for us.
Video,
Star
baby.
Trek
That's when he was in the video room. We sent him on assignment.
Hey, live long and prosper.
The question here, I think, really is, if Folk does come back and is ineffective, how do you like Timlin as your closer? Because that's really what you're looking at this point. I don't think you're looking at putting Schilling back in the bullpen.
I don't, but you might not have a choice. Again, it's a tricky situation because if Schilling comes back and he's not, and he's just so,
Right.
now you still got the Papelbon.
He's
situation.
certainly not going to be your 1-4-7
If
guy
Falker
in a
comes back
rotation.
and he's a little so. Now you've got 2. So hopefully, in other
It's a
words,
good problem to have. I mean, it's good to have this kid around because
Yeah.
you've got Schilling, Clement, Wakefield, Arroyo.
In other
and
words,
it's good to have
what I'm
those
trying to say
starters
is it'd
around.
be nice to have one of those situations settled,
Right.
closer, and have Schilling set in. Hey, he doesn't have to be a lights out #1 starter, but pitching somewhat well.
Right.
Or have Keith Folk as coming back, and maybe Timlin doing his role well as a closer. So you could kind of find a spot for this Papelbon
one
because
thing-
it looks like he's ready to go.
Right, and one thing we talked about last week was that there's this feeling of uneasiness in Red Sox Nation, even though when you look at their numbers and you look at where they are in the standings, throughout
They're
recent
only
history,
3.5 games up though.
we should be like, wow,
Yeah,
it's-
but
they're in first place.
I've
But
said
I
this
think,
before.
Still think
I
this
think the
Yankee team is
uneasiness
hurting,
comes from we know what World Series and what playoffs are all about. It's about pitching. Good pitching is going to beat good batting.
and
And
you've
we're
got it going
scoring
into September. at least.
5.7 runs a game. Well, that's great, but that's not going to happen in the playoffs, and that's where that uneasiness comes from.
Yeah.
The whole pitching scenario? I mean, you're saying it's a good problem, but it just seems there's confusion. Like
We've
who's
talked
gonna
about
be
this
doing
before, though.
what?
They're 20 games over 500. It seems like we talk about the Red Sox problems every time.
And
we
that's
get to show.
because they score 5.7 runs
Well,
a
that's
game.
true,
They
but last year
outscore
they were a
everybody.
wild card, and it's now they got the big 86-year monkey off their back. They're 20
Yeah.
games over 500. I mean, we're well into August, and they're still ahead of the Yankees. Now they lead the division.
But our pitching took care of business in the playoffs.
That's true. That's the big question mark.
Do we have that now? We don't know.
Well, I mean, it
we're
is
up in the
scary.
air
You're
for
going
mid-relief.
into
We're up in the
September.
air for a
You're
rotation.
going into September with a starting rotation with the ERA like mid-4.
Yep.
And then in a bullpen, this ERA is like close to 6.
Right.
I mean, that is scary, but there's still 20 games above 500.
They've had stretches where they've pitched well. Like Wakefield can get on a little bit of a roll. I mean, Arroyo can be pretty solid.
Right.
Clement has been
Clement,
really
let's not
good.
forget
Yeah.
Clement, who's had a pretty good year.
Definitely.
Wade Miller's been kind of a big disappointment. I mean, it's kind of a failed experiment in my view, even though he's
Right.
coming off surgery, I guess. And you throw in this Papelbon, Del Carmen.
You got a mix, but like you said, there's no stability.
Well, not yet.
Who's going to play what
Well,
role? Because, yeah, they're
hopefully
20 games up because consistently over the season they've outscored opponents, despite what may happen with their pitching. But that's not going to, all of a sudden in the playoffs, we're going to face good pitching, and then what?
Well, I think the most exciting thing about the playoffs is going to be the race for the wild card, especially in the American League. I mean, the National League is really exciting as well. But you're like, who are the Red Sox going to play in the
Right.
in the
Doesn't that feel
playoffs?
good though that you're talking?
Yeah. I mean, this
you're
Yankee
talking
team,
race, and
this
we're not
Yankee
included
team
in the mix.
has
for the
tied
most part.
Oakland for the lead
Yep.
for the wild card, but you have Oakland right there. You know, Anaheim's not that far ahead of Oakland. Then you've got Minnesota has suddenly come on. My Twins are starting to hit the ball, and then you've got.
Well, you're pitching for him. I mean, you're hoping to move up.
Looking good.
and you
Looking
have
good, Jay.
You have Cleveland right there too. So I think it's going to be an interesting
Sure is.
race, and I just don't believe that I still don't think the Yankees are going to.
Well,
make
how
the
about this?
playoffs.
I mean,
You don't even think they'll make the playoffs?
I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I
mean, they're relying on Sean Chacon,
Right.
who has pitched well in a Yankee uniform,
Who, by
but
the
he's
way,
still
picked him up in
Sean
fantasy baseball.
Chacon. I
Right.
mean,
yeah, but offensively,
Sean
the Yankees.
Chacon is not a bad pitcher.
the
He's
Yankees,
pitching in a bad
the Yankees
place.
still have some
See,
talent. I mean, their pitching is their
I have
problem.
no
but they,
faith in Sean Chacon.
No.
oh.
None.
Speaking of the
Same
Yankees, you know how I like to pick out little Providence Journal tidbits.
Yeah, what's
This,
your
this is
tidbits
like, I
now?
mean, if I had
yeah.
my own
Here we go.
show,
Did
Jay
you
Leno,
know that the Yankees
Well,
I read this.
have been
look at
around?
this.
I read this online.
Johnson's
this
season quite unexpected.
Yeah, you got that
The
right.
day after Randy Johnson gives up 4 home runs in 1 inning, the Yankees say the big unit has struggled during its first season in New York.
No way.
He hasn't performed to his expectations.
Did they just figure that out
figure
now?
this out? We've
Yeah.
been talking about it all year. His season quite unexpected.
Think about the Johnsons, the Giambis.
They've been a loaded. I mean, Giambi has been
Johnson-
one shining point. I think he had a much better season than I thought he was going to have. I thought he was gonna
Giambi
be a
shot up
complete
for like a
waste of-
month,
Right.
and then he had to get off of it again.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but
mean-
give him credit. I think he's going to have a much better result than our friend Rafi Palmeiro in
yeah.
Baltimore,
Oh, geez.
whose
That's
career is
a lot of
probably just
trouble.
about over. I mean,
That's
he's not
terrible.
even.
No one's
you know,
going to pick him up either.
Well,
No.
he's got injuries now. They're going on the road. He's going to get.
Of course he's injured.
booed
He's off the
mercifully,
juice.
to
No, they
say the
cut him.
least.
yeah,
they waived him.
cut him.
Did they waive him?
Put him
Yeah.
on waivers, yeah.
And
Jesus,
no one
I'm
even came
sorry.
close.
Speaking of going on waivers, Bellhorn, near and dear to everyone's
Oh, wait,
heart
let's
from
talk
last
about how
year's.
the Twins claimed Alfonso Soriano
Oh,
off waivers.
yeah.
That could be big. That could be a deal going
After
on with
Texas
the Twins getting
said,
Soriano.
after Texas said he will remain a Texan.
Yeah, they waived him, and the Twins claimed him. So now they have like 2 weeks or whatever it is to either trade him to Minnesota or sign him.
Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's a big
Twins
player
getting
right
Soriano
there.
Why
in-
would Texas
in
put
August.
Alfonso on waivers?
Because they're insane, the Rangers.
Because
He's
teams do
solid.
that.
I like him.
They're not
Teams
gonna be able
do
to
that
afford
to,
that.
to try to see
They
if
can't
there'll be a
afford.
bite, or sometimes they do it to sneak them in. You know, I don't know how you're going to sneak in
Jeez.
Alfonso Soriano.
Well,
but
I think they can't afford to have Soriano,
I think you're right.
Teixeira,
Yep.
Blaylock, Michael Young. You know, they need pitching, and I think, you know, because Kenny Rogers is just going to keep beating up cameramen.
Oh, yeah.
So
Bellhorn gets released. Remember him from last year's World Series. Hit 3
Yeah.
homers in the postseason, but couldn't pull it off this year. And you know what you say? You lose your job to injury, and that's what happened. And now most recently added,
well, they
possibly.
say you can't lose your job to injury.
Yeah, well, it
Wow,
happens.
I don't even know if it was really injury. That
The
man
question
lose his
is,
job. He had a little problem.
Well, the
He-
north end of Boston's ecstatic because
You know.
What's
He
going
had a
on
little
with
problem. He'd strike out.
the little Italian stallion playing second, the Graffinino.
Oh, they love him.
Quite
What
often.
do you think about Kevin Millar now? You know, basically who is playing the role as Manny's babysitter right now, and that's about it.
He's popular among in the clubhouse. I mean, that's
Look at
why he's
this-
around.
His team chemistry, his approach, is that
He's
enough
terrible.
to keep him on?
He's terrible this year, though. I mean,
Well, I think that'll be enough to have him play out the season, but he's
Yeah,
definitely
that's the end of it.
He's done.
This is definitely the end of it. And sometimes you might need a guy like that. I mean, it might be important. I mean, that might be underrated to get a guy clubhouse, keep everybody loose and happy. And although baseball's more of an individual sport,
Right.
I mean, it's a pitcher versus a batter, and I know some people will argue that, but I mean, it's kind of okay to have him on through the end of the year.
I mean, you're
and
looking at-
Olerud is no. I mean,
Well, the dude's like 72
Yeah, the dude's
years
like
old,
72.
too.
The dude,
And
he's
you
a
got,
dude.
how about bringing up, who's been sitting in Pawtucket?
Youkilis?
To play first. The guy will take first
Yeah.
base.
Well, you have Olerud too,
'Cause
who's been a really good surprise, I thought.
Yeah.
he's been solid.
But,
he's
I
a
mean,
veteran.
what are you going to do with Miller? Are you going to sign him at the end of the
Well,
year?
this lineup though,
You
this-
still got
let's
Damon.
just look at this lineup is Damon, Varitek, Ortiz, and Manny.
Yeah.
And all those other pieces.
But it's good
are
to have
kind of,
Miller at the bottom
Yeah,
of your
it's nice.
lineup
It's
as
nice,
a little
but
bit
really,
of power
this is
there.
what Damon sets the table. I mean, Ramirez and Ortiz each have over 100 RBIs
Right.
already. I mean, this is This is their baseball
Just Manny
club.
being Manny.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
exactly.
what about looking into next year? There's
Love
talks
Manny.
about dropping Manny.
No,
And who
they
knows
can't
what's
ever
going to
drop
happen
Manny.
with
He's great.
Damon? That leaves you with.
You weren't here, were you?
He's nuts.
Well,
I love him.
He probably didn't see that show. I threw everyone under the fruit
Scott
tree.
put Manny under his fruit tree along with the
I was ready to
the
drop
steroid
Manny.
users and everything, and I kind
I
of
was
defended Manny.
I was almost ready
Manny is
to
great.
And by the way,
sacrifice.
that weekend that week he became the AL Player of the Week. So.
No, he's
whatever.
amazing.
Well,
He's
yeah,
the
but
all-time leader.
the guy
in-
wants
in,
to
Grand
leave every
Slams.
year, and he's got
But
a hell of a
that's just Manny
contract.
being
But it's
Manny.
just-
What don't you understand?
Yeah, he's
Drop
nuts.
him.
It's Manny. He just
Be
wants to
Manny.
play
All right,
baseball.
well, let's put it this way. There's talks
He wants to be a
about
gangster.
getting rid of Manny in the offseason. Damon,
They're
we
not
don't
gonna
know
be-
how much money he's going to ask for. What does that leave you for an outfield?
Damon's not playing
Trot
here
Nixon.
next year.
Trot Nixon is what you
Damon has pretty much hit the lottery with his
Hey, you
play
know
this
what?
year.
In Theo, I trust.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants to do is fine by me.
Well, that brings us to Mr. Theo. Did you read this article? His contract is up. We forgot all about him. $300,000 to $400,000 is what he's making now, and he's
Is that
looking.
all?
That's it.
I didn't even realize that.
The guy came in at what, 26, 27
But
years
still,
old.
I mean, he's still the VP or president of player personnel. Or
They're saying he wouldn't mind what Boston was going to offer Billy Beane at the time, which was $13 million over 5 years. Okay?
Moneyball.
And they're saying
Moneyball
more
will
like
get you.
maybe $1 million. So the question is, if the Red Sox don't give this guy $13 million, we've got a GM, by the way, Mr. Cashman, who's probably leaving. What do you give Theo for running the show? Do you give him everything? Give him $13 million and say thank you very
13
much?
mil. I mean,
Over 5 years.
Is that what it is?
That's what he's looking. I mean, that's what Billy Beane
mean,
was offered in 02
I mean,
for
you
that.
pay
think
Manny
you do.
20 mil. I mean,
Right.
you pay. I mean, Ortiz, you got a bug, but I'm just saying you paid these players tons of money, and I think we can all agree that Theo's done
Seems to do
a
an
good
excellent
job. He's
yeah.
very young. He could be quote unquote the next Billy Beane.
Well, how about Billy
I
Beane,
mean-
though, in Oakland? Look what the Oakland A's have done
Yeah.
with that team.
Don't we get back to Billy Beane every year? It seems like
We get
They
to
get
him
rid
at
of all
some
their
point in the
players.
season where we say Billy Beane so much
Oh, how
at
about,
him, and then
what
all
is
of a
wrong
sudden,
with Billy Beane? He got rid of Tim
Yeah.
Hudson
Yeah.
and Mark Mulder,
Right.
kept only Zito.
Said we
and you're
couldn't do
like,
it without the
oh
big
my
three.
God, what is he? He's lost his mind. And then they went on a 20-game winning streak,
Oh.
and now they're knocking on the door for the playoffs.
they're unbelievable. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that happens.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I think-
so. You're saying give Theo whatever he wants. If he
And you
wants
look at their
13
lineup,
million
too.
over
Well,
5
I mean,
years,
I'd
you
say
certainly don't want him going to the
I'd
Yankees,
say
do you?
give Theo
I'd say you let him
Money-
go and get Billy Beane.
money relative.
I don't think Billy's going anywhere.
Money relative
I
to
think he's
what
coming
GMs
here.
make around the league, and
Yeah.
he should right now should be close to
Guy won a World
one
Series.
of the top. I'm not going to say the very top because
Right.
he's so young, but I mean,
Can you imagine $300,000 to $400,000? This guy. I hope there was some incentive in there about winning a World Series.
Oh, he probably gets anything he wants in Boston.
That's true. So he doesn't
Sure,
really
they take
need.
care of him.
He doesn't really need money. He just
if
walks
he goes
around.
out to eat, I'm sure he doesn't pay for any dinners.
What time we got, Farrah? Let's see what we got going on here.
18, 19 minutes.
Left to go or in?
Want
so
to
we
talk
got
about Nomar Glaciapara?
10 minutes.
Yeah, let's talk about Glaciapara for a minute.
Glaciapara.
Because he's on
he
your
busted up
fantasy
his-
team.
No, I dropped him a long time
Oh,
ago.
you already dropped him
I
again?
used him for his one home run. He
He knew when he was going to hit that one home
he
run.
busted his groin, comes back, and now he's hurt again.
Yeah, didn't take
Strained
long.
his back. Is this a case of?
You know, you got to start
Steroid
thinking about
use?
the last couple of years. Yeah. The
I
last
love how
couple of,
anytime anyone gets injured,
Everything's
we're always
steroids
like,
now.
especially if he's a little remotely jacked.
Felipe
at some
Lopez
point.
hit a home run yesterday. He's got to be juiced.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
you
my
gotta-
Glaciapara was coming in the parking lot, tripped over
Hey,
a curb.
I have that Sports Illustrated cover where he's jacked on the cover.
You got to look at the. Is that pinned up near your bed somewhere?
Yeah, yes.
You
Right
got to
next
look
one of the
at.
Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
He's all over the Star Wars
don't know.
today.
I have actually Garciapara dressed up as a Wookiee. I have a poster of that.
A rookie or a Wookiee?
He's a Wookiee. He's a rookie Wookiee. I love Nomar still.
I mean, you look
and
at
I
Nomar.
think it's sad that he's not here.
You look at
and
Nomar,
It's sad
though.
that he's hurt. Always banged up.
You look at
But I
him the
still
last
like him.
couple of years in a Red Sox uniform, and then look at the year he's had now. You
Yeah.
could call him an oft-injured guy at this point.
Of
He's not
course.
getting any healthier or
He
any
also only
younger.
got a 1-year contract for this season.
His,
So he killed
I mean,
himself
his
there.
career has taken an ominous turn, to say the least, by
Yeah.
going to Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a guy who was like one of the beloved figures in Boston.
He pulled a Mo Vaughn.
Yep.
At least playing wise. But Mo Vaughn at least was a lot older, I think, when
When he left.
he
and no
parted
one blamed
ways.
him for going for the money.
And plus,
at
he
this
was just a
point either.
power hitter, heavy guy.
Yeah.
And
what he
Nomar-
banged up. He broke his ankle or whatever.
Nomar's
First game of the
struggling.
season.
I mean, I still think he has a good career, I would think,
Yeah.
I mean, either that or Mia Hamm is just wearing him down to no end. I mean, ever since he got married.
That's a possibility
You know,
too.
maybe he can't handle the ham.
You can't handle the ham and the needles and all that good stuff all
You
at the
think?
same time.
You really think Nomar might be on the juice? I don't know.
I don't know.
He suggested it. I'm going by him. I'm not going to
I think
jail
it's
for
his unique parachute training that he does in
that's
Utah.
what it is. It's all his.
I'll tell you one thing that's on the
calisthenics.
juice is his nose. He's got a very big nose.
His nose is
got a
on the juice.
beak.
I think his beak's on the
He
juice.
injects his nostrils. Let's talk.
Whoa,
Oh, easy,
easy.
Paul.
I'm rattled.
I think you're on the juice.
Yeah,
I
Killer
went to
Kowalski.
Universal Studios last week. I'm all jacked and
You're
pumped.
all
I'm like
set.
Pete Carroll. I went on the
jacked
roller
and
coasters
pumped.
and stuff like that.
We got football starting
Carroll.
up. We had a
He go on that
tragedy.
stuff with his kids.
We had a
His
tragedy
college kids.
recently in San Francisco. Fourth player, they say, in NFL history to die. Rookie, 23. Well, not rookie, second year. 23 years old. Don't know what happened yet because we haven't gotten those results back. And all of a sudden, this whole thing's coming back, which was around 3-4 years ago. You know, the health of particularly linemen, but football players overall. You know, does something need to be instilled in the National Football League that deals with overweight? Remember that study that was done that said, like, you know,
Yeah, in 1980 there was, 4 guys over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Now there's 365.
He must have been on the juice.
right?
Just kidding.
No juice there, I don't think.
No,
but
I
yeah, I
don't-
mean,
I mean, I think just
do we got a serious health issue?
I think
here?
people are bigger now. Like, it just seems like all athletes across the board are just much bigger than they were.
I mean, I think especially in
you
football,
know.
like when John Hanna, the retired, was considered one of the greatest linemen of all time. I think he was, under 300 pounds.
probably
Yeah.
280 at that
Now,
point. and-
now, if you're not 300,
right?
it's
Well,
unbelievable.
Refrigerator Perry was what, 3 1/4,
Oh,
and he
he
was
was the
considered
start.
humongous.
Well,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, he was humongous. Now, you've got this kid who's 23 years old, if you look at him.
was it that
and he's
the
humongous.
Broncos that had that amazing line and none of them were 300?
Right.
Remember
Well,
few
that's
years
a
ago?
whole different story.
Right, that's abnormal now. I mean,
Right.
you look at
Right.
even the Patriots have some.
That's
really
an
big
athletic
dudes.
line. Those aren't road graders.
Well,
That's,
like Dave was saying, in the 1970s, it was an average of 10 players in the entire NFL over 3. Okay, now you've got 350. That's more than
300
10 per
pounders.
team.
I don't think it's that big of a problem.
350 players over
tell you
300. That's
why.
more than 10 per team. You don't think it's a problem?
If they're
No,
not
the
hear
guys are bigger, like he said. I mean,
Yeah, I think just-
the
But
last guy
they're being
happened
asked to be bigger.
Wait a minute.
All right,
How can
let
you be
me-
asked to be bigger?
Let me let you
You
talk.
can't be asked to be bigger.
I'll get in there. I'll
No,
explain.
no. What I'm saying is, athleets in general are bigger
Bigger.
now. They're coming to the NFL a lot bigger. I mean, how can you ask an offensive lineman, listen, you're too fat? I mean, you can't
Right.
make him lose weight. I don't think.
just plug him
I
in.
mean, this kid was
But
23
that's
years
what's
old. Let's
being
face it, this
called
is a unique
for.
situation. You can't ask this kid to lose 20 pounds.
We
all of
don't
a
know.
sudden. No,
We
it's
don't
gonna
know his
happen.
health issues. Maybe he had.
Of course
maybe he's been big all of his life. And
Listen, he's
not-
23 years old. I'm sorry, I'm not a doctor. I only play one on It's a Sport Show.
Right.
I mean, there's, I would be shocked if they didn't find some type of heart abnormality or anything like that. I
Yeah.
mean, how many
Because
of
he
these
was
cases,
overweight.
So what
well,
do you do?
probably, but I'm saying in general, an athlete, even if you're overweight at 23, I mean, like all the athletes you mentioned, Refrigerator Perry. I mean, every team has offensive linemen that are. I mean, look at the kid that my own coach, Nick Saban, made cry. The Manuel Wright from
Right,
USC.
right.
He lifted up his shirt to wipe his tears, and my wife was watching. Goes, "Oh, he should put his shirt down." I mean, the kid's got the gut hanging out. That's the way
But
athletes
that's what's
are.
being called for, is what I'm saying. These guys are being called now to not necessarily be as athletic as they used to be, but instead just stand there and be a wall, be a filler.
Yeah, but
that's all they're doing.
My point is this: of all the athletes that are playing in the NFL, offensive linemen, and all the athletes that come through, I mean, is this? I think this is an isolated incident, is what I'm saying. Now, a couple years ago, if you remember Corey Stringer from the Minnesota
Right.
Vikings, that was kind of a practice issue. It
was a
when
heat
they were
issue.
practicing, it was a heat issue. That's a whole different issue. This kid didn't die while they were practicing in the 95-degree
Okay,
heat.
so-
I think there could be an issue there with coaching and the way you practice these players. This kid died, right after a game.
So you're saying it's an isolated...
Denver.
Yeah. Well, no,
Mind
look where he played college. He played college in the Colorado area, so he's used to that. Let's go forward then. How many times do you hear of a football player dying at 40 years old? It's common. And why is that? Because of the obesity, because of the damage that they take on the football field. Now, you can't do anything about the damage portion of it.
I don't know if that statement's entirely
Why
accurate.
can't
I mean, I don't
you
think there's a
have?
lot of
Why can't the
NFL
NFL strip things down to say 280 across the board, making it fair for everyone? The game was just
weight
as
limit?
interesting in the
How the heck are you
270s.
going to do that?
You
What
get
do you
a
mean, how
weight
you gonna do that?
NAACP. I mean, the 18-year-olds want to play in the league. They'll sue the league. Now the fat guys are going to sue the league for not
Yeah.
letting them play.
You can't do it like today. My point
can't.
is,
Why-
you gotta
why
put a
can't you
pla-
be fat?
So you're saying that there's Fat is one thing. We're talking obesity here.
What's wrong with that?
350-pound guys.
But that's needed
they're
for football.
dying
Yeah,
at
but-
40 years old because they're so
You're
damn
discriminating
big.
against fat guys. Fat guys can play
Yeah, but wait a minute.
football.
Don't forget, these guys aren't 320 pounds in my height. These guys are 320 pounds,
Yeah,
and they're
they're
6'4", 6'5". I mean, they're offensive linemen.
They're still obese.
Well, I don't think obese is the right word.
No, they're obese. If they're 320
Well, you
But
can't
also
have a bunch of-
professional athletes.
at 6'2",
Yes, you
they're
can have
obese.
a
Still,
bunch
they're
of
still
robots in the
professional
NFL.
They're
athletes.
still obese. You can't
They're
ignore
still
the
professional athletes.
correct, and they still will be at
I don't
280,
think obese
290.
is the right word.
I
No,
agree
they
with
are
you.
When you're a
obese.
professional athlete and you're 300 pounds, I think that's...
They're obese.
How
The
can
guy
these-
lifted up his stomach to wipe his tears, and there was a huge stomach
Yeah,
sticking
but how
out.
can these guys?
How is that not
okay,
obese?
Well, how are these guys obese when they're practicing? When they got these training camps, they practice twice a day for 2 months in 95-degree heat. I mean, if that doesn't make them skinny, what do you do? I just don't think you can mandate that the guy is going to look like, let's say, Hulk Hogan or one of these.
They did in the
wrestlers.
70s.
That's because there was nobody around. The players were smaller. Athletes
They're
were smaller.
calling for
Training
bigger
was
players
different.
now, right
They're
from
not
high
calling.
school. Yes, they are.
I don't think they came to 1978
NFL
and they
no.
got on the phone and said, you know what?
No.
We need some bigger players.
The
I think this
NFL
is a natural.
The
natural
NFL
evolution.
gradually,
Don't you think?
I
the
like fat
NFL
guys.
gradually has called for
Thank you.
bigger linemen.
That's why we're sitting together.
Even in high school, you're only talking like a 10-year difference from high school to
Well,
that point.
I don't think they want fat linemen. They want big guys, obviously, in the offensive line to make some holes.
Athletic, too.
What the hell is the
athletic.
difference between big and
Big,
fat?
athletic
Are you going to find a
dudes.
340-pound cut guy? Of course not. Not
Listen,
unless he's 8'2".
That's my point. If I'm a general manager and Dave comes in and he's 350 pounds and fat,
And I've never played a day of football
well,
in my
if
life.
he's athletic and he can move and he can knock some gutty on his butt, I don't care if the guy eats
This
Big Macs
isn't-
on the side.
You know how hard
No,
it
it's
is to be an
encouraged
offensive
as a matter
lineman?
of fact. That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot more to it than just standing there
You know,
and being
I-
fat. You have to, like...
I think
that.
you're
I'm
right.
not
have to
saying
move
that these
on-
guys
on
aren't
running plays
athletes,
and-
but
Okay.
they are still obese.
How
I don't
about-
see how you can say
about the
that
guys-
two 350-pound guys standing next to each other, one sits on his ass all day in a trailer park and the other one plays football,
Obese.
that they're not both
Athletic.
obese.
Obese in trailer parks.
You could be athletic. You can have athleticism to yourself, but still be obese. These guys are still obese. They're still fat. They're huge.
don't.
They got heart problems.
Not all of them do.
What does it take?
How about when the NFL fines players for not showing up to training camp at a certain weight? They're all supposed to be
What's
certain
that
weights.
weight? If you're a lineman, you got to be under
Well,
375?
It's a certain weight. I mean, I don't
That's
have
great
the
criteria.
things in front of me, but you can't say, geez, you know, you're obese.
Game
That's
show.
like
home.
saying I can't eat a McDonald's. That's like saying that I
That's
can't.
the
That was
Fat
probably the
People
Fat
Association
Police.
of Rhode Island chasing you.
Fat
That's like
police are just
saying
calling you.
that I can only eat 2 Big Macs a day. Hold it to 2, and that's it.
Yeah, but
What kind
you
of
don't
criteria
have-
is that?
Hey, did you know that I got rear-ended on 95 North yesterday?
Who is the lucky?
Yeah, I got it was a 5-car chain reaction accident.
That's
by the way.
a whole different story.
I gotta bleep that
We're
out.
going from obese to somebody. Yeah, you might have to edit that.
Was he obese?
Was he obese? No, wait a minute. I don't think you have. Honestly,
I don't think
I can't.
funny.
Oh boy, now we're going
That's
right
another
back
beat.
up.
I'm gonna do some editing today.
I don't think you have any facts to back up your conversation.
What
You don't have any facts. You're saying,
350 guys in the league that are overweight, done by a study, that are obese.
and one 23-year-old died probably of a heart abnormality.
So how many do you want
what's
to
your
die
point? What's
before
your
this
point?
happens?
You-
2 in 4 years. What do you want? A guy every year instead of every 4 years, every 3 years?
No, not 2 and 4 years. The last guy died, again, a separate
Heat
issue.
stroke.
He died in training camp where they push these guys hard. And you're right, a lot of these offensive linemen are big and probably fatter than they should be. That's why
They're
they have training
obese,
camp.
Paul. They're obese.
go.
These guys weigh 350 pounds. I don't
It's like
care
talking
what
to
they
this
do.
cup.
I don't care if they can jog a freaking 10-mile
You know,
run
I'm putting you
every
under
day.
your own tree, your own
They're
athlete
still
tree.
obese.
Yeah, but this is probably an isolated
Patriots
incident. You don't
recently
have-
acquired
you
Andre
don't
Davis,
have-
wide receiver from the
You
Cleveland
don't have
Browns.
enough facts to back up your argument.
All right.
Yeah, do you
I'm
say
gonna
players
come in
are
with
dying in their
studies.
40s?
You haven't
Where?
read
I haven't
any.
seen anybody
You haven't
that's
read
dying in their
about
40s.
these
Scott's
studies.
going to do a study on fat
You
dudes.
haven't
I just
read.
turned 40. Every time you say players are dying in their 40s.
You're not a
Even though I'm
football
not a
player,
football player.
dude. You haven't read these studies that were done that said, almost 100% of the NFL is at least overweight? And we won't even go into the percentages of players that were listed as obese. All right, I'll bring them in next week. I'll bring them in. I'll bring in the studies.
You're gonna bring in all the
I'll
fat
list them
guys?
all
The
over
problem
the
is,
place.
I think if someone is clinically
Obese.
obese, I don't think they could play in the NFL. That's my point. These guys are
You
tremendous
guys are
athletes.
nuts.
Yeah,
I can't
that's my
believe-
point,
Well,
too.
obesity has to do with weight, not
It also has to do with
athleticism.
genetics. It also has to do with
Athletics.
family
Fine.
history. I mean, do you see these people on TV who are 650 pounds?
I
lying
don't
on a
watch
couch?
the Jerry Springer show.
Well,
Sorry.
what I'm saying is it's not just eating. There's other factors.
When a 600-pound woman goes on and says that 4 levels of her family have been as big as her, I think that the honey needs to drop the Twinkies and the hamburgers
But
and
that's
forget
exactly
about
my
genetics.
point. It's not strictly honey. There is a genetics. It's not strictly eating junk food and stuff like that. I think some people have a tendency to gain weight
That's
more than
fine.
others.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
and I can't see how you can call
So what are you
a
gonna say that-
340-pound offensive tackle in the National Football League obese.
Do you think he doesn't go and eat Twinkies and triple burgers before he goes to bed, and no one says a damn word about it because no one cares? Is that healthy?
As
Are you
long
going
as
to
he
tell
has
me
his-
that that's healthy?
Yeah, but the NFL is not in charge of the NFL is not a hospital.
They can be. It's
Well,
a private league. They can do
They
whatever the hell
feed
they
him,
want.
so they feed him. They have nutritionists on staff. They have trainers on staff.
These guys eat on their own
Well,
time too.
But as long as
especially when they're on the
as
road.
they're under their playing weight,
So a
mean,
350-pound linebacker, according to you two, go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Man, you're looking big. I think you're obese." Oh, wait a minute. You play for the Dolphins? Oh, you're not obese then. You're an athlete. You've got no problems at all. Look up the word obesity and tell me if it relates to athleticism at all. It doesn't. It relates to how much the people weigh.
yes, there is a
According
difference.
to
If I
their
went to
body
the doctor
frame.
350 pounds with the Twinkie wrapper in my pocket,
Right.
and the doctor says, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, mostly on weekends I go to Newport, sit on the lawn in one of the mansions, and I eat potato chips." Versus a guy who says,
I play football.
I'm a professional football player,
And he's gonna say
which
that
you
he's
have
not
to
obese.
be in tremendous shape to play.
Obesity has to do with weight. It has nothing to do with the
But
shape
if you're in that
in.
type of shape, don't you think you would lose weight? What I'm saying is not everybody's going to look
No,
like
because
Jerry
these guys
Rice
are
or Terrell.
encouraged to stay big.
I
Sorry,
think you're
Farrah
wrong.
wants to say something. Show's over, Farrah?
Yeah.
It's a sports show at yahoo.com.
The Giants
Email
are
us.
14 games below 500.
Dave bailed
and they're
out of
only
this
6
conveniently.
games out of.
Jay
It's a sports
Rainbow.
show. It's a sports show at yahoo.com. Thanks, Dave, and thanks,
Yeah, no problem.
Dolphin
Fatty.
Poppy.
No problem, fatty.
And thanks, Farrah, for running the show. We'll see y'all next week.
So long, fatso.
That was good.